Watch. Okay, good evening. We're up to Kuf Samich Vav Amid Beis. Nice Gemara. We're about 5 lines in the bottom. Ahu have a Kosev Bay. Now we're going through Hilchas Shtaris, not so much like the mechanical parts of the shtar, the physical parts of the shtar, not the tiny parts of the shtar. Very, this is a Seifis perik, a scribe's perik. They have to know what to do. So Ahu have a Kosev Bay Sheish Meya V'Zuzah. Now it says 600 and a zuz. Now there's different denominations. The question is when it said 600 watt. 600 watts. So there's 3 possibilities. It could be 300 zuz, 600 zuz. It could be 600 prutos. It could be 600 istarais, which are dinarim. So which equals 4 zuz. So Rav Shriva Kamei Debaya says Shishmeya istari. It's 600 istari v'zuzah. An istari is a selah, which is 4 zuz, guys. An istari is a selah, which is 4 zuz. So it's 600 istari, right? That's 2400 zuz, right? Plus 1. Dilma sheish meya priti v'zuzah, or maybe it means 600 prutais and a zuz. So Amalei, so Abaye told Rav Shariva, dal priti. Go ahead and get rid of the pritim. You're not going to write a pruta in a shtar. You're going to go ahead and make it into a larger denomination. Says the Rashbam. You're going to make the prutais into dinarim. So in other words, you're not going to get 600 prutas. It can't be. You're going to take the pruta, 192 of them, and you're going to write a dinar. So you're not going to write pennies. If you get 100 pennies, you're going to write $1, right? So that's the same thing over here. Don't think that it's possible it's 600 prutas, because then you're going to because you would go ahead and change that into the denomination of dinarim. So excuse me, the asli maskan lahu umashvle zuzah, you'll make them into zuzah. Mayamir, what are you going to say? Sheish meya istri v'zuzah. What are you going to say? It's 600 istri and a zuzah. Yad balashtar tachtoina. In other words, you're always going to go to the lowest amount. So I think this is the pshat of the 3 possibilities of the istara, pruta, and zuz. The one that makes the most sense is zuz, even though it doesn't. 600 zuz plus a zuz, you say 601, I guess, or maybe that's the way you say 601. So to say it's a pruta, that doesn't make any sense, because you're going to change the pruta into a dinar. To say it's 600 istari, that's a lot. That's because it's 4 times the amount. And what I've been saying, when it's a suffix, guys, yad balashtar ala tachtoina. So therefore, given that our draw this, it makes most sense to say it's a zuz. The middle one, it'd be 600 zuz and a zuz. I just wanted to go back to yesterday's Gemara. There was a teku yesterday about a question about a kefil and a seifel, what to say over here. I think it's an important. I forgot to do it yesterday. Let's just see that yesterday's daf teku, just for a little idea of the sveikas and shtaris. When it says teku, we don't know what the paskin. We're going to say it's hamoitzi mechaver al varaya. The kivanim is stafka dina lebeidina. Since the suffix is to bezdin, how to paskin, heich yoytzim miyad hamachzik, how to take it out of the hands of the machzik. V'leidami lemotel amomen b'suffix. It's not similar to momen amotel b'suffix, the kaimla and cholkin that we say yecholik. The haslam ika amaisa en yedua lanu heichoya. In other words, when we say momen hamotel b'suffix cholkin is when without bezdin themselves you have a suffix. Shor shenogach es hapara. V'nimtza uber b'tzida, and you don't know if that baby was there as it was born before the goring or being as a result of the goring. That suffix has nothing to do with a bezdin. It has to do with a mitzias. Bezdin can't possibly pask in that case. That's a moment with the suffix b'cholkin. But where it's a din, and we don't know how to pask in the din, we'll leave it by its mari kama v'hamoitzi mechaver al avaraya. It's a very good yesod to know. Right? When do you say Maman al Mutta b'Safik Cholkin, and when do you say Moitzi Mechaverei? So when it's a suffix without Bezdin, it's a suffix to anybody. It has nothing to do with Bezdin. You don't know what happened in this case. You don't know if the animal was born or not. Then Maman al Mutta b'Safik. Where it's a question of Psak Din, and you don't know the Paskin like, then we keep it the status quo where it is, and then Moitzi Mechaverei. That's the Yisoidistic Rashbam. We've said it before, but maybe I didn't see it in print like Rashbam placed it out. Okay, back by us. Kuf Samar Sayin Amid Aleph, 3 lines down. Amar Abaya. Haiman the boy machve chasimus yada bebeidina. Person wants to go ahead and show his ksav yad in Bezdin. They should be able to go ahead and for the purpose of if he's going to be an aide and you want to go ahead and be Mekayim Ishtar, what should you do? Don't go ahead and show it at the end of Megillah. In other words, leave a piece of parchment above and sign your name below. Don't do that. An unscrupulous person will find it, and will write that you owe money. Person brings out an IOU, and it has your signature on it. You'll collect from the Chasam Nechar. And again, we just brought yesterday the Maisa with Chaim Kanievsky, right? Chaim had the stroke, and they wanted to see if it's okay. They asked him to sign his name, and he made an X. Why do you make an X? Obviously, because he knows if you sign your name, they can go fill it in above and whatever they want. So he made an X. So they thought, the doctors didn't understand. They maybe thought he would, didn't have his mental capacity. Hadarabba. He remembered the Gemara and Kuf Samar Sayin above Basra, and that's why he didn't sign his name. Very good shmak. I don't know. He was very, very, there's geshmak. Okay, so a person should do this because again, it produces an IOU. You're going to collect. You won't collect from Mishubadim. There's no coil to it. It's that buyer beware. But you would collect from the Chasam B'nei Chayrin unencumbered properties. Now, who bizvina? There was this bizvina. He was a meiches. He was a tax collector. Now it seems that the Talmidei Chachamim they got a waiver. They got a waiver from the tax. If you were Tzubim Rabbanon, you got a waiver from this tax. So there was this tax collector, the Asla Kamei Debaya, who came in front of Abaya, and Amalei, and the tax collector told Abaya, Nichsi li mar chasimas yadei, show me your handwriting. The Chiyasi Rabbanon, when the Rabbanon will show up, Machvilei, they'll show it to me, and Marvana Luhu B'lei Machsa, let them go, without paying a tax. In other words, I'll have in possession your John Hancock, and therefore they'll come by, and they'll show it to me, and no problem. Okay, so Achvilei Bereish Megilta, he began to show him at the top of the document of paper. Habikon Nokid Bay. So what was this tax collector doing? He was pulling it. He was pulling it up so that the signature should go down. He was pulling it up so his signature should go down. So Amalei, so Abaye told him Kvar Kodmach Rabban. Rabban beat you to the punch, like that the Maisa substantiates psak that they signed on top. Amar Abaya. Okay, now let's say you're writing numbers in the shtar. So this is a piece of advice from Abaya. Mitlas Yad Esa, from 3 to 10. Leilichta b'seif shita. Don't write at the end of the line. Dilman Mizayif, they'll forge the kosav and they'll write tilsin. They'll add yud nun or esrim. They'll go ahead and put a yud and a mem. In other words, if you put it at the end of the line, you have a potential problem of a forgery. Now, the Yisrami lay, and if you can't avoid that, in other words, and you're writing it and it's going to be at the end of the line, Nahadre ledibure trey tilsin zimni, go over your words 2 or 3 times, and as a result of repeating it in the shtar, it's not possible that it'll show up in the middle of the line. And as we learned the other day, you're going to learn from the ksav. You're going to learn from, if you have a number in top and a number in bottom, you're going to go after the number in the bottom. So avoid going ahead and leaving a denomination at the end of a line, lest they forge it. On the other hand, if you can't avoid that, be sure you repeat it in the document, the amount that it should end up in the middle of the line, and therefore we'll learn from that. That's the Ahunavik Sivbe Tilsa Bipradisa. There's one person, it said, I sold to so-and-so in my garden 1/3 of an orchard. So he didn't sell the garden, he sold 1/3 of an orchard. So Sivbe Tilsa Bipradisa. It was written 1/3 of the orchard. Azul, this fellow went, and Machre Legage de Beis. Now look at the letter Beis, guys. The Gag is the top line, and the Kare, and the foot. So guys, look at my friend. If you go ahead, you take the base, you take away the foot, and you take away the roof, and you take away what the foot, you're left with a vav, right? You're left with a vav, right? You're left with a vav. So now what it reads now? It reads, it reads, right, and right. It reads, I'm sold you a third of my garden and a pardes. And a pardes. Ask me the baya, Amalei, my timer Ravichale Alma Lahai Vav. Why is there so much room with this Vav? After all, the Vav was a base. So now it was farther away, right? In other words, if you took it away, the base takes up this much room and the Vav takes up this much room. So what happened? So Kafte, this was the times of, this is no Alvin Bragg, whatever that Yatz is. This is the time of Besdin. What did they do? Tied him up, beat the daylights out of him, and he was maida that what? The forgery. He explained it to him. He explained it to him. There's a joke, but it will make anyway. Hahuda have a kasavlei. Right. Hahuda have a kasavlei. Manas Ruven v'Shimon Achai. It says that the portion of Reuven and Shimon brothers, and he had acquired the portion of Reuven and Shimon. Havilahu Acha Dishmeyachi, and there was a third brother. You know what his name was? Achi, bro, right? That was his name. So what did they do? Also the Kosev Vav. He added Shimon, Reuven, Shimon, and Achi. Now he wants to get a third piece of property. He wants to get Achi's property. The Shavia of Achi. Now, the problem now is the opposite. In the first case, there was a big space. In this case, he kvetched the Vav in between Shimon and Achi. He kvetched it in. So it came in front of Abaya. Amalei, my time at Dach Alma Lahai Vav. Why is this Vav being kvetched like this? Kulei Hai. Kafte, tied him up. Vaida, and he was Maida. Gishmak. Ahu shtar that vichasim ala Rava, Ravacha Barada. There was a star that the Aiden written on it were Rava and Racha Barada. Now, the problem was, Asla Kamei the Rava, came in front of Rava. And Nebuch, talk about a Shlamazel, Amalei, Dain Chasimas Yada Didihi. It's true, that's my signature. But Miu, Kamei the Ravacha Barada Lechasim Limoilam. He never signed in front of Racha Barada. In other words, so he's out of luck. Kafte, they went ahead, tied him up, Biaida. Now, Amalei, he said to the forger, Bishleim Ladidi, Cyphus, Bishleim in my hand, Rani, you can go ahead and forge. Elder Ada, the Rossis Yade, Hechis Abdis. How are you able to go ahead, Rad, and forge Ravacha Barada? After all, he was shaking. He was shaking. So how'd you go ahead? So, why do they say, an uman knows his business? Right? So Amar, Anchi Yada Amitzra. You know what I did? I went to a rope bridge. I was on the rope bridge, and that's how I signed it. So the others say, "Come Azranuka v'kosav." He was sitting on some type of leather thing that was going like a waterbed, like it was going up and down, and therefore that's how he signed it with a shaking hand. So that's the in the shtaris. Wow. Yeah, I'm saying that this big rule. Ein chadash tachas hashemesh. There's nothing changed. I once had a check. A guy came to me. One of the disturbing events in my life. It was like I was having a suda in my house. And I forgot what it was. I forgot it was a suda. They came and he told me a story about he has to buy tefillin for his son. He doesn't have money. What? It was
Wednesday before.
And it was unbelievable. Anyway, I wrote him out a check, and I got the check back, and he had added in front and in back, and they cashed it. I fought the check. Baruch Hashem, they saw that it was a forgery, but it was so disturbing to me. I haven't given a check to, now with Zelle and credit cards, with writing checks has become a moot point. But it was very, 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 very troublesome to be chapped like that.
Scrub the checks.
They what?
They scrub, unless you're using indelible ink. They wash the checks and then reuse them. Whatever they want, except the signature.
Okay, says the Mishnah. Kaisvin get ish. Kaisvin get ish. Afa pishin ish. Now, a man could write a get. A woman has no say in the matter. So you could write a get without your wife around, and she doesn't have to be there. Because again, before the Cherem Rabbeinu get, before Rabbeinu Gershom said you can't divorce a wife against the will, it's not a problem. Says Rashbam, Kaisvin Gela Ish, Kaisvin the Kaisvin Lo. You can write it and sign it. Who you garish by Asishta Kishiyertze, and he'll divorce his wife whenever he wants. Afa Pishenishta Imai, Bishah Shenoisen Lo, even though what? This wife wasn't around when you gave it to him. I get Kasav V'chasim. The Leibein in Daita. You don't need the das of the woman. Shari Himis Kareshes Balkarcha, because she's divorced against the will. So that's case number one. You could write a get without the wife being present. Now a shayva was if you paid off your ksuba, you got a receipt. So this is a case of Zachan la'adam shlei b'fanav. He has everything to gain by having a shayva in his possession, because now he won't have to go ahead and pay a ksuba. So it says the Rashbam, b'shayva leisha afa pishein baila ima. It's a chayv, but for the baal it's a schus. Boy, she's gonna have to be careful. It doesn't come to her husband. Actually, the kabel kesel ksubasa, because the husband can go ahead, tap that out, and say, "Hey, guess what? I paid up." So therefore, you can write a get for the husband, and you can write a shayva for the isha. Okay, third din, or an addendum. Provided you recognize, and the Gemara will explain. Well, who recognize who? Okay, third in. And in this, by the shayver and the get, the Baal has to pay for both. By the shayver and the get, the Baal has to pay for both. So we're getting the halachas. You can write a star for the loiva. After all, if someone has a star saying that he's going to borrow from you money, you're quite happy, right? You're quite happy. Says Rashbam, that it should be prepared biyadai, lases lemilva, to give to the borrower, kishe yilva, right? When the hava takes place, shilava mayais, afa pishein mal ve'imay. In other words, sometimes it's difficult to find a scribe, and you want to make sure at the time of the loan you have you want the person to lend you the money. He'll say, I'm not going to lend you the money. There's no star. But if you have the star ready and he says, here it is, and boom, you're great, right? So therefore, you could write, the loiva could write, even though the malva's not around, because it's for the advantage of the loiva, and it's zenan of a zenan. The loiva is going to want the money, right? And it's a chayv to have the star, but for the malva, it works out. If it ain't close from the malva, actually loiva ima, because then you might, he won't write it, because maybe he'll go ahead and it'll be a shtar mukdim. In other words, he'll use it earlier and you'll collect from a shubadim. What? What do you mean? Edi Masira, you can sign the shtar, it doesn't make a difference. It's not a problem.
It's basically prepared the loan docs.
Yeah, mamish ready. In this case, the loiva is always going to give the schar. After all, it's his advantage. Okay, mechira. You can write a shtar for the moicher. Afa pishen lekechimai. Right, the moicher wants the shtar ready for the sale. You can write even though the lekeach's not there. Then kaisen lekeach, and you can't write to the lekeach. Actually, moicher till the moicher is with him. And in this case, the lekeach is the one who's is gaining. Then what he's going to pay for the schar of the sefer. And kaisen shtori erisin vin nisuin elamidash neim. Shtori erisin were that the father of the chassan will say, I'll give this amount. It's like what we call Tanoim, but not really. It's because Tanoim we rip up, but Tanoim are really only good for a few minutes from the time. Yeah, I know. Remember Ednish pregnancy? Yeah, from a German. I'm getting it from a German. Anyway, so no, it's a moot point from the time of your Tanoim till the Ksuba. It's a moot point. Anyway, the point being, if you look at the Rashbam, the fourth line down. Mefarish Belu Megalchin, Shtori Psikta. It's a pshar of an agreement. Kidarav Gidel, Kama Ata Noisein Lebechor, Kavachach, how much you're giving. In other words, each one, this is the negotiations, right? The shtar negotiation of the negotiations, right? This is the shtar. So that you'd have to both be present. Shtar as soon as the ksuba, they both have to be present for that. Elam Midashneim. V'achosin Noisein Schar, and the chosin has to pay for this. Ein kaisvin shtar arisus the kablanos elamidash neim. Now, when there's different share farmers, right? There's a sharecropper and then there's kablanos. Sharecropper, you're going to get a percentage of the crop, Kabbalah you go ahead regardless. You're going to pay the person a set amount, regardless of if you leave it bare, you leave it bare in the field. You have to pay. That's Kabbalahnis. Schiris is what you're going to give depending upon the amount that's produced. But either way, that star is dashnehem. I'm a Kabbalah license schar, and it's the share farmer who not the balabas who pays for it. Ain't kaisvin shtari birurin. We're going to see Basra Hashem in not that distant future in Sanhedrin that when you come to a litigation, one person charges one judge, another one, and then the two judges judge picks the third judge. Each one is called a star biru to mean mavarer to go ahead and each one. Okay, so that you need dashneya for that. Ma'aseh bezdin could be an adrachta, could be that you tell the leiva that that they're coming to get his property to pay off. Where he forecloses, they're coming to get his property. It's called shtar adrachta. So ma'aseh bezdin. Elam dashneim. U'shneim ma'aseh schar, but both have to pay for that. You write two stories, one to one, one to the other, two to the other. We'll see what that means in the Gemara. Okay, going back over the Gemara, we said that you write a get for an isha and a shayva for a man and a shayva for an isha, but Besdin has to recognize. Okay, again, so the two cases we have to focus on. It was a jam-packed Mishnah. The two cases we have to focus on is the get and the receipt. What's the get? It has to be written for the person and the woman. It has to be written. Now, a get can be used to collect a ksuba. In a place where they didn't write a shayva, you'd have a ksuba as a get. A raya that I didn't collect my ksuba, you'd collect with using a get. A shayva would prove that you did collect a ksuba already. So the kind of polar opposites. The get over here, not that you're divorced, but in a sense, of course, you need it for a divorce, but also it gives you a right to collect a ksuba. A shayva says this ksuba was collected already. So they're polar opposites, really. So now, what does it mean over here that you can only write it only if you recognize, if you recognize that? Who are you recognizing and what are you writing? That's the discussion for basically the rest of the daf. Okay, well, who are we discussing and what are we writing? Okay, that's what the Gemara is going to focus on. Says the Gemara. Mayu b'vad shehi makirin. So Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, ubelvad shehi maker shema ish beget, v'shema isha b'shayver. You have to recognize the man who's telling you to write the get, and you have to recognize the name of the woman who's writing the shayver. The Gemara will explain. Okay, so what are we recognizing? Apparently just the man by the get and just the woman by the shayver. Yosef Rav Safra, Rav Acha Bar Huna, Rav Huna Bar Chinana, Yosef Abaya Gabayo, Yasvi, and they were sitting. The Komi Boyalahu, and they said the following question: Shema Ish beget in Shema Ish Aloi. So you're going to write a get. You don't recognize the woman. You just recognize the man. And by the shayver, Shema Isha b'shayver, you recognize the woman in Shema Ish Loi. For Lechash, let us be suspicious. Dilma Kosav Gita, you're going to write a get. And what? For this guy, but without recognizing the woman's name. He'll give it to a woman that's not his wife. Now, if you look, there's two ways to learn over here. If you look at the Bach, he'll and umegarishla, and he will divorce her with this get. Okay, and you're gonna, you if you don't recognize the woman, you'll give it to a woman that you'll give it to the woman of this one, and she'll be divorced. And you know what she's going to do now? Where's my ksuba? She's got a get. Where's my ksuba? So why aren't you concerned about that? In other words, guys, the concern should be if she has a get, she can collect the ksuba with that get. So why aren't you're writing it for him, by not recognizing her, why aren't you worried they'll give it to her, and she'll say, look, I'm divorced, where's my ksuba, right? Where's my ksuba? Why aren't you concerned about that? That's the first concern.
What's that cut up, right?
What?
That get is cut up, right?
Again, right?
It's just not collectible. That's the whole-
It depends. It depends if you collect the ksuba without the get or not. Right? We rip it up. I know we rip it up because of that reason, because you pay up. Okay. Now,
he has get without her name on it, and he demands.
so there is a name on it, right? But let's say the guy has his name, has the other woman's name on it.
Because it's a random woman.
I guess maybe made it a kunya, maybe again, you have to take into account this possibility that it possibly does exist that some other woman could use this get to collect the ksuba, right? So that's the problem. So how could you possibly say that? And in addition, you're going to say that what? Shema Isha b'shayver in Shema Ishloi v'leichish til makasav gita. Next case. Where am I? Azla kasa Isha shayver. Simon, you're going to go ahead. You're going to write a woman a receipt without the man. The Yov legavra the lav delay. She'll give it to somebody who is not what? Her husband. And he'll claim that he paid up ksuba. In other words, there's a concern over here about a woman collecting ksuba and a concern over here about a man getting off the hook. If you're just going to give it to the man, why am I concerned he's going to give it to somebody else and collect the ksuba, the woman, if you don't have the woman written in it? And if it's by the shayver and you only write the woman and not the man in front, why are you concerned she's going to give it to a man and that man will deny his ksuba? So Amalei Abaye, who was sitting there, said, Hachi Amarav, Shema Ish beget, V'uadin l'Shema Isha. Now, it doesn't mean only that. It means both. Shema Ish beget, V'uadin l'Shema Isha. Shema Isha b'shayver, V'uadin l'Shema Ish. Okay? So now, l'chayra, that's going to take care of everything. Maybe. Now you have another problem. So now you have the name of the man, you have the name of the man and the name of the woman, right? You have the name of the man and the name of a woman in there. Okay. V'leichish, let's be suspicious. The Shnei Yosef ben Shimon, Adorim be'erachas. Let's be suspicious, what? Of two people by the same name, Yosef ben Shimon, who are living in the same city with the same name. And Dilma Kosev Gita v'azal umati le'lis sadehech. He'll go ahead and he'll give it to somebody who has the same name as him, and she'll go ahead, she'll give it to the woman, I guess, and she'll collect the ksuba. So look at the way Rashbam learns, guys. The nechesh dilma nafik leili. Oh, that's the next one. I'm sorry. Okay, so now why are we suspicious that it's your eitzah of writing a get, even though there's for the woman's here and the man's there? Why are we suspicious about people with the same name and they're going to do the same thing, the same harama? So the Gemara says, "What? Amulu Ravacha Barhuna, Pachiyam Rav Shnei Yosef ben Shimon Adorim be'erachas. A megoshin is the same as Elazem Fneiseh. In other words, you're not going to write it. If we know that two people in the city have the same name, we're not going to write it unless they're both in front of each other. You don't have to worry." He'll go to another city. He has one name, and he's going to go ahead and be machzik the name of Yosef ben Shimon. In other words, we're not chayish for two people in one city. Well, let's say he goes to one city, he gets that name, and now comes back to this city. We're worried about that. Because of Gita, and he's going to collect the ksuba. If you go to a city and you're machzig in that name, right? We're not scared. 30 days, you're there for 30 days. We're not scared that you're going to have a separate name because no person would go ahead and take the chance of being found out. Yes, Lenny.
So the wives also have the same names as each other?
Yeah. They both have the same names. Yosef ben Shimon and the wife. You took care of that. They both have the same names. Now, why aren't we suspicious that we didn't win yet? In other words, good in the same city, but let's say he's machzik by this name in this city. It's not really that's his name, and then he'll come back to the other city. And the answer is people are scared of being found out for 30 days. Once you're 30 days in a city and that's your name, that's your name. Says the Gemara, what about Shlei Achzik? Let's say he wasn't there 30 days. Mai, is there any way to ascertain his real name? Rabbi, the Korile. Says Abaye, the curry leva oni. You call him quickly and he answers, right? You call him quickly and he answers. Yeah, we always have these movies, right? They find the guy out, they call the name and go, yeah, forgot about that movie. And they got him, they chopped him, right? What? Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. Okay, anyway, such Bekias. We have Pirish Benji here. Anyway, whatever. Rabbi Zvid Omar, Ramah Baramuse Zahir. Rabbi Zvid says, if a guy is a liar, he's gonna train himself that even if you call him by that name, he's not gonna answer. He's not gonna answer. Ahu Tavra. Okay, there was the receipt, a shaver. Davichasim Allah, that it was signed, it said on it, Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. Okay, it was signed on it, Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. Asyula kamei hahi isisa. A woman came in front, now she wanted to collect a ksuba. Now he wrote the shaver, Yirmiyah Rabba, you can't collect the ksuba, that was collected already. So, but Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba was written on this, and this woman showed up after a period of time, and she wanted to collect her ksuba. But Amrulay, and she said to Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, Lava nahavai, am I not this woman, right? That, I'm not this woman that the shaver. I never got it. In other words, it's not me. I never, it's a forgery. I never received it. So Amr Rav Yirmiyah Rabbi said, Ananami Amrulahu Lav Ihihi. It's true. I said what? The Adim that signed on this, that this is not the woman. I said the woman that, it's Rav Yirmiyah Rabbi said, I don't recognize this woman. But Amruli, the Adim told me, Makashu de Kashalai Ubagala Kala. In other words, her voice changed. As she got older, her voice got thicker, so you can't remember. Now, Yirmiyah bar Abba is not going to be looking at the woman. He's going to recognize her by her voice. He's not going to be looking at the woman. So he's not going to be looking at the woman. So he says, I can't recognize you. So they even said, you don't recognize her because her voice changed. Her voice changed. It's a very interesting. Last week's parsha. How is it possible that when Rachel fooled Yaakov, Leah fooled Yaakov, right? And Gush gave Simonim, and it was dark, but you could always tell a person by the voice. The Gemara Nida says, how is a man permitted to live with his wife? How is a blind person able to live with his wife? He doesn't know it's his wife. And the answer is he recognizes her voice. Right? So it said that, right? You have to say that Leah sounded like Rachel. They sounded alike. So you see over here that people can be fine-tuned when it comes to voices. So over here, he recognized the voice. So you're not the same one. And they said, well, it is the same one, but whatever. So now it seems to be Rabbi Afal Gav Dam Rabbanan. Even though Rabbanan say Kiman Shehigit Shuvei Nechayzru Magid, since it's a din on Edis. I know it's no Edis over here. Once Rabbi said what? He said that you're not the one. Now he's going back and he's saying, oh, you are the one. In this case, it's not the way of Talmidei Chachamim to look at a woman. And now that we could uptight that a voice changed, so therefore he's able to say you are that woman. There was the shayva was written on it. Rav Yirmiyah Rabba Amalei, the woman said, Lava no have, I'm not that one. Amalei, Rav Yirmiyah Rabba said, Ibra not have, you are that one. Amar Rabaya, Afagav the Sumra Rabbanon Lav Urchel Medik, even though it's not the way to look. I will cave him the duck. If he did look, he he's believed. Amar Rabaya, Heitzim Rabbanon Deosel Kedusha Isa. This is amazing. Guy wants to get married. He goes to be Mekadosh a woman. Nidbar Amaretz Bahadei. Let him take what an Amaretz along to go ahead and look. Dilma Machle Minei. In other words, he's going to be Mekadosh one woman. He's going to end up with another woman. Go, let me take an Amaretz. Look at the woman to know the one you're going to end up with is the one. What do you mean? No, I'm saying this. No, he's going to look anyway.
So that's, but you're the one.
He's going to look anyway. That's. I don't know if that's Lifnei Eva.